Hey, good morning, guys. This is John Phillips with John Phillips Plumbing. It's Sunday morning. I thought I'd do a new episode of Tailgate Talk. This is going to be about sewer equipment and drain cleaning. So I want to try to talk about some of the tools and diagnosing drain problems. It's very important to, drain cleaning is way more than just, sticking a cable in a line and clearing the drain. You got to know where the stoppage is. So, anyways, I just want to show you how my truck is set up with my drain cleaning equipment. I built this little shelf here. It pretty much has all my stuff in it. I've got a general Route 66 here. I've got a rigid K60 right here, which is a little lighter than the general. I use the general Route 66 on, if I'm on the ground using it. It seems like it's got a little more power than the K50, but I like the K60 if I have to go up on a roof, and that's typically where I work. It's not too often I get lucky enough to just go through the clean out on the side of the house. But I also have Super V's. I've got this one right here. It's set up with the larger cable, 25 feet. I've got this one here. It's got the smaller spring head cable. And you can see on there, that's what you pull out of tub drains. And then I got this one here, which is the first one I bought 25 years ago. Still works like a charm. I've replaced the pinchers in there a few times, clean it up every once in a while, grease it real good, and they're just great machines. I actually like this one because it's got a dial on the knob, and you can dial up the speed. I've noticed that some of these, like this one is a new one, and it's pretty fast with the small spring head. But this other one is really slow. It's geared a little slower, so which is cool because you don't really need to go that fast. It's more about getting the head where it needs to be and popping the drain. But another thing that you need are these hoses, in case you're using, you're on a roof or whatever. So I've got two hoses, one for each machine. This is a real nice one. I like it. It's a little more flexible. The other one's 25 years old. This right here, closet auger. I'm going to lay all this stuff out on the tailgate and talk a little more in depth about it. But so this is where I keep my cable. Easy access. I've got 3 rolls. I got way more cable than I need on here, but you never know what you're going to get into. If you get something broken off, you need to go back in and retrieve cable. I'm of the mindset that, it's better to have more than not enough. So anyways, I carry this vacuum, which is a big part of my drain cleaning activity. I've got another little shop vac that I use. I've got this box up here full of heads that I use. Different types of heads, root cutters, spring heads, grease heads, sand heads, all kinds of stuff. And then right up here on the top is my video camera. It's got about 100, I think it's 100 feet of push cable, color camera. It runs on a battery and power, which is very nice. I've had this thing since, I think, 2004, and it's been very reliable. I've got some extra camera heads in case I need them. And I also have a roll back here of the smaller cable, which you would use in like a K50. And I also have an assortment of heads for this cable. And then up here, this is my wand for locating. You know, the camera head is a transmitter, and I can follow the camera out with this wand, and then pinpoint where there would be like a break in a line, in a sewer line, or something like that. It's a very useful tool. So anyways, I'm going to get this stuff out and talk a little more about, you know, what you have to do before you even get the cable off the truck. So let me get this stuff on the tailgate and we'll talk a little bit, and maybe I'll even draw in a plumbing system and show you how to diagnose a drain problem, stopped up drains. All right guys, so I've got all my sewer cleaning equipment out on the tailgate. This is a session of tailgate talk, and once again I'll go over what I have. Some of the simplest things obviously is a plunger. You know, you need to have a plunger, using that in diagnosing the issue. The other thing is a closet auger. If somebody calls and they say, hey, I have my toilet stopped up, your responsibility as a plumber or drain cleaner is to figure out whether it's in the toilet, within 6 feet of the toilet, the stoppage, or 25 feet down the line. So, you know, this is a very important tool for diagnosing the problem. This is my Gen I camera and locator. It's a nice little camera. It's easy to carry. It's not heavy. This hose here I use when I'm in the grass or up on like a tile roof or a metal roof, so you're not damaging the roofing material. If you've ever tried to do a stoppage in the grass, it's miserable without a hose, because you just twist all that grass up into your cable and you have to clean it out. So anyways, this is my main roll of cable here. I think there's 90 feet of cable in that one. I try to keep them light, you know. So I've got 90 feet of cable there, and I've got probably 45 feet of cable or 60 feet in that other roll, and it's a little lighter. I try not to run more than 105 feet of cable with my machines, because when you get outside of that, it's just really a drain on your, it'll eat up a machine. But I'll be honest, with these Generals, this General Route 66, I've never ever had, I've got 3 of them, and it's only because I buy them when I see them on Craigslist. You know, I buy them because they're good, it's a good deal, and it's a great machine. But I also I don't want guys going into business for themselves. It's about keeping, you know, it's about my business. So I buy them up. You don't need to be a licensed plumber to be a drain cleaner. So I don't want every guy in town being a drain cleaner. So anyways, I've got a bunch of them. This is my K60. It's a nice machine, very easy to carry. This right here, this handle, is nice when you're going up a ladder. It's a lot easier. It's a lot lighter than this Route 66. Another thing that's very important are these mitts. If you're just using regular leather gloves, as you do a couple houses, those things, you ever get one of those gloves twisted in a cable, it's not fun, man. Eventually you'll break your finger or something, or rip one off. But anyway, so I've got a left and a right mitt. I use plastic rubber gloves underneath, and it works great for me. They do heat up though. When you're grinding a cable, these things get hot. I've got my Super V's, like I said before. Yeah, I've got my my Super V's. And some of you may be asking, why do you have 3 of them? Well, I don't like changing cables out on these things. I mean, you could spend 20 minutes changing a cable out, and it takes 15 minutes to unstop a shower drain or a tub drain, and it's just more efficient for me. These things pay for themselves really fast. So I've got some new ones. These two are new. This one, actually, this one is my the first one I ever bought. I bought it 25 years ago when I went into business, and it's still working. It's a fucking beast. So I have replaced the cables every once in a while. The main thing with these, you know, there's a lot of feel and touch involved with drain cleaning. You got to understand what's under the slab, what you're going through, when you're just going through a fitting, or are you at the stoppage. So there's a lot of technique in all of this. It's not a simple thing, and the guys who don't know what they're doing will, you know, they're just pissing up a rope, basically. They're not going to get the job done correctly. So anyways, it's all about feel, and the main thing is these cables are not cheap, and you don't want to be kinking them and twisting them around and end up with a fucking bow tie, you know, out slapping around in a tub. So it's very important to just take your time, know when to push, know when not to. The other thing that I stock on my truck is a lot of the old houses with cast iron. The cleanouts are buried. They didn't bring them up to grade. The new code is, you know, they need to be brought up to grade. So it's pretty easy to find a cleanout on a house. But the older houses, the ones that were built in the 70s and early 80s, have cast iron cleanouts with a brass cap in it. And I've seen guys trying to unscrew that cap. It's not coming out, guys. I hate to break the news to you. So the easiest way to get that cap out is to take a good heavy screwdriver and a hammer, 3-pound sledge, and just drive it down through the joint where the threads are and pop that cap out. And then I use these guys, which are really nice. I have an assortment of sizes, different styles. This is another kind here. And they're basically, they just expand. You know, you push them in and they expand as you tighten them down. The other type that is a nice thing to have are these lead guys. And basically, you know, there's not going to be any threads left in a 50-year-old cast iron tap T clean out. So these lead guys are pretty nice. You just hammer this into the top of the goddamn clean out, and it works great. So anyways, that's some of the stuff that I use. I'm gonna draw a little. I'm gonna draw a plumbing system in for like a 3-bathroom house, and then I'm gonna explain, you know, how to diagnose a a stoppage problem. I'll talk to you right now about like a lavatory. If somebody calls up and says, "Hey, you know, my lavatory is stopped up," my first question always is, how old is the house? And that tells me a lot. I know if I'm dealing with cast iron under the slab or PVC. If it's a newer house, it's going to be PVC. I'm always looking for little clues as to why this place is stopped up. Do they have a bunch of shit over the top of the toilet? You know, is there kids in the house? Are there stoppers in the drains, in the lavatories? Is there a screen on the tub drain, a strainer, or is everything wide open and you're getting way bigger stuff down that drain than it's designed for? So you need to be looking for clues. Now, when it comes to a lavatory, somebody calls you and says, "Hey, you know, my lavatory won't drain." Well, the first thing I do, because it's simple, unless it's a 30 or 40-year-old pop-up, it's easy to pull that the pop-up rod out and pull the stopper. And a lot of times there's just hair and shit, you know, toothpaste and dental floss and all kinds of crap in that, just right there in the pop-up. So that's an easy fix. If that's clean and the drain's stopped up, then you need to determine whether it's in the waste arm or it's in the base of the stack. And you can do that. You can figure that out by plunging. So you fill the sink up with water, And let me draw this system in. I'm going to do a couple pictures, and then I can talk about that. All right, guys. So I've drawn this. Like, say this is a typical 2-bath house that you would find down here in Florida. We're going to start over here. This would be the outside of the house. The code says that this clean out needs to be within 18 inches of the edge of the house, and then it would turn here and go out to the city sewer or a septic tank. That's a whole septic tanks and inverts and all that stuff is a whole different ball game. But anyways, so this is a 2-bathroom house, just a simple little house. There's a trunk line. This main trunk line goes through here up to a toilet, a water closet. There'd be a combination Y 1/8 bend coming off. Now the code says that this toilet, this is actually considered the point of vent. So this toilet can't be more than 10 feet away on a 3-inch trunk line. So I know that going in that, you know, that's supposed to be 10 feet, less than 10 feet. When you turn here, the point of vent for this tub drain, this tub trap, is 6 feet according to the code. Some guys say 8, but if you put 8 in, you're going to flunk your inspection because it's considered an 1.5-inch trap because it gets bushed down. But anyways, and then you'd combo off again and pick up a lavatory with a little waste arm. Say there was a window above it or whatever, and then the vent goes through the roof. So that's the master bath. Then over here is, say this is the laundry room. You'd come in, there'd be a laundry tub and a washing machine. The trap is in the floor. In the kitchen, these get complicated with the advent of air admittance valves and Studer vents. It's tough to get sometimes it's tough to get a kitchen sink stoppage cleared without tearing everything apart, you know, and they can be a bear. And then over here would be a guest bathroom. There's a water closet here, same thing, lavatory with a waste arm, and then a tub here. So anyways, I drew out a picture of a lavatory, and if there's a stoppage that the homeowner calls and says, hey, I've got a stoppage in my lavatory. So this dot represents the overflow in the sink, if it has an overflow. So my first thing is to take the pop-up rod out and see if it's full of hair. If that's clean, the next question is the trap full? I've never had that, you know, especially if it's a PVC trap. I've hardly ever had a trap that it was just in the trap where I had to, especially on a lavatory, just take the trap off and clean it out. I've never had that issue or the luck. So the next question is the stoppage in the waste arm? Because now you got water in here, right? You know it's not this. You know it's not that. The question is it in this line, somewhere between the trap and where it ties into the sanitary, into the vent, or is this goes through the roof? Is the problem down here at the base of the stack? Now on a lot of these older houses, you got cast iron stacks, and what happens is they corrode on the inside, and all that debris falls down. And after 50 years, this sweep down here is just slap full of shit. And then you add, toothpaste and everything that goes down the drain, especially if they don't have a pop-up plug in this sink. You're getting shit coming down here. So what you want to do is determine, is the stoppage in the waste arm? You need to know if it's in the waste arm or in the stack. You're not going to go up on the roof and try to clear a stoppage that's in the waste arm. Your cable's going to go right by it and out to the wherever, and the sink's not going to drop. So the easiest way to figure out if this sink is stopped up in the waste arm is to put your finger over the overflow hole and take a plunger and plunge it. If you can plunge that, if you try to plunge it and it just stopped like a rock, that's telling you that the stoppage is in this waste arm. If you're plunging it and it seems like it's just going up and down, it's because the stoppage is somewhere in the base after the waste arm tie-in. It could be here, which is unlikely. Most likely in the sweep or somewhere on this line. So what happens is when you plunge, all you're doing is pushing water up and down, up and down. So that's how you figure out whether it's in the waste arm or in the sweep or the drain underground. The other way to figure that out is if you have easy access, which I have a ladder on my truck. Most of the time I want to do a stoppage from the roof. So what I do when I go up on a roof, I take a quarter or a nickel or a penny or whatever change I have, and I drop it down the stack. Now, if the stoppage is over here, this water level is going to be that high in the vent. So I drop a quarter or something down there, and I can hear it plunk into the water. So I know that stack is full, and I run my cable through until I clear the line. Now, so that's basically determining where the stoppage is on a lavatory. On a water closet, right here, I know that this pipe can't be longer than 10 feet. So we're moving on from a lavatory now and a stoppage in a lavatory to say there's a main drain here. Say there's a stoppage right here on this bathroom group. You're going to get water by running this lavatory, which you got to run a lot of water when you're testing. It's best to fill the system up with water so that when you do punch the stoppage, it actually flushes it out really, really good. And I would suggest, it's not a bad idea after you clear a stoppage to take a couple, 2, 3, 5-gallon buckets of water and just dump it down the drain in the toilet. Dump it as fast as it'll take it. And that's the biggest slug of water that this system will ever get, and it does a great job of washing the system out. So anyways, if you've got a stoppage down here, you run the lavatory, and the toilet starts bubbling and water starts coming up in the tub. I know that I can go up on the roof, very clean. I'm outside of the house. I run the cable down here. It goes through this, and boom, pops that. And then you go in the house, and you'll see that the toilet is drained, like all the water's sucked out of it. The tub's going down, and you run the lavatory, and everything's good. You hit that stoppage. If you have a stoppage here in this bathroom, which you'll know that if you can run the lavatory and no water comes up into the tub. If you flush the toilet and the toilet works, that's great. It's working. That line's clear. If you run the tub and it's holding water, it could be a couple things. It could be that somebody didn't adjust the stopper right on the tub, or there's hair in the shoe of the tub. But I know with the code down here in Sarasota, Florida, that this line is not going to be more than 6 feet long to this trap. So I'm not going to go in there on a tub stoppage and run 20 feet of cable. I know that, I need to get that thing clear within, I probably put like 10 feet in. And that's how you got to really understand what's under the slab and how long these pipes are. They may be in different configurations. And when I talked about a lot of this stuff is feel, these are simple rudimentary drawings. Sometimes there's a 45 here. You need to know what it feels like to run a cable through a P-trap. Then you need to know what it feels like to run it through a 45 or a 90, because they're not all going to be straight. And you may think you're at a stoppage when you're going through a 45 when you're actually not. And the idea with this is eventually you'll get it. Eventually you'll figure it out. But to be effective and to make money doing this, you need to be able to diagnose it fast, and hit the problem and get down the road. And that's where flat rate pricing comes in, and you get paid for your knowledge. I'm not going to do it by the hour, and I've got 35 years experience, and I can go in there and fix it in 15 minutes when some jamoke goes in there and he spends 4 hours and makes way more money than I did. So anyways, so that's the basics of this. And what I always try to do, say on a tub stoppage, I'll go through I go through the overflow, obviously most guys do, and I try to run the biggest Super V cable that I have. Sometimes on these old cast iron lines, I mean, I've taken them out and you could hardly get a pencil through them with all the buildup. So I try to run the biggest cable that I can. If I can't get the big Super V cable through there, I go to the little smaller spring head, and I'm able to open it up and just say, hey, you know, it is what it is. It's 50, 60 years old. It's cast iron, and, you know, we're doing what we can to get you going again. So always start out with the biggest cable that you have, and you need to make that determination. You don't, on every job, you don't want to be running in and out getting different sewer machines. But I like the going through the vent on the roof, because I can run my big ass, my 7/8 cable with a big spring head on it, and I run it through the line. And what I like about the spring head is when you pull it back, you're able to see what it caught, you know, what it pulls back. If it's a tampon or a feminine napkin or roots, you'll be able to tell. And you can, over time, you'll learn how to read your cable. You'll learn what a shiny cable means, you know, what a mucky cable means. Is it full of grease? Are you outside of the pipe drilling through the sand in under the house? So there's a lot that goes into it. And, you know, the more knowledge you have and experience, I mean, you just can't buy experience. So the more you do it, the more you know. But anyways, the next issue is a kitchen or any sink. This could be a bathroom group that has a Studevent on it. And other than pulling the toilet or going through the tub drain, which is a smaller cable, there's no way to get that without taking the trapper pot under the sink, which, you know, it gets messy. I mean, that's why I use my vacuum before I go in. If I take a trapper pot, I'll use my vacuum and I'll suck all the water out of the system, and so I don't have raw sewage basically slopping around inside the cabinet and all over the. It's just a mess. So, anyways, the Studevents are a real issue. I would like if they would insist that you put a clean out on that, either below it or out the back side if it's on an exterior wall. But you know, these Studevents need to be vertical. So going in, if you take the Studevent out, you still got to go up into that hole and then back down to clear the line. And you know, you really shouldn't be damaging the threads in the female adapter. So you got to put a male adapter in there, and it just gets too involved. It's not fun. But so anyways, that's really the basics of drain cleaning. Now, say you have, we've already gone over this bathroom in the first bath in the house. What if you have a main line stoppage and the clean out, you got to stop it, you open the clean out up, and the clean out's dry. But this bathroom here is stopped up, and this bathroom over here appears to be flushing fine. You got to figure out where the stoppage is. You know, you can't just say this toilet's working fine. Well, it's working fine now, but if you let it run for 20 minutes, it's going to fill this whole system up. So anyways, you need to be able to figure out, and the main thing is, if you got a stoppage over here, you know, 5 feet from the clean out, you don't want to go in the master bath way the hell over here and run a cable through the vent. You know, it could be 100 feet of cable all the way down to this stoppage. So The idea is to go in to access the plumbing system as close to that stoppage as possible, so you're not running a ton of cable. And it's a lot to think about. It comes naturally to you after you've done it for a while. The other drawing that I did here was a kitchen sink. And kitchens, you know, a lot of times that's where the problem exists. So I always plunge a kitchen sink to see what the deal is, where the stoppage is. The only thing that's you know, plunging works great to figure out if it's in the waste arm or the stack, but it's a little different on a kitchen sink because of the drain hose. You can put the stopper in on the garbage disposal and plunge this side. The only problem is that the hose that goes to the dishwasher, you know, could give you a false reading. Instead of the water, obviously you got this stopper in here. The water's not going to come back up into the sink, but it could go through that hose, you know, and could give you a false reading. So sometimes it gets tricky. When it gets really tricky is when you're in a high-rise building and everything's revented and tied in. You know, you got 10 fixtures tied into one vent stack, and it gets complicated. I don't have to worry about that because I don't work in high-rise buildings. I just can't deal with the liability, and they don't have the sharpest knives in the door plumbing these things, and things fall apart. If you're on the 10th floor and you break, you know, you assume something was put together right, and you take it, you know, you start working and it pops off, and now you're flooding the 10th floor. Well, you're going to flood all the floors underneath it too. So I stay away from them. I do single family houses, usually one story. I won't go up on a 2-story roof. And so anyways, that's the basics of drain cleaning. I will show you the equipment again, which is not very cheap. I can tell you that. If you want to get into drain cleaning and do it right, you know, you're looking at a lot of money. This camera alone and this locator is, when I bought it, was about $6,500 back in I think 2002 or 2004. But anyways, the cables and sewer machines, you're looking at a couple $1,000s for a nice sewer machine setup. And I've got extra cable sewer machines, and then the Super V's right at around $300-400 a piece. So closet auger, you know, it's not cheap. You're looking at, you know, good to have everything you need, including the camera. You know, maybe you don't want to get that, but you're looking at least $5,000-6,000 investment to have the sewer equipment that you really should have if you're going to advertise for drain cleaning. I want to talk a little bit about these heads. I like these guys. They're good for descaling cast iron. You just put it in there on a 4-inch line and take your time and let it it's very, very heavy. It stays at the bottom of the pipe. And it just takes stuff off. You want to make sure you're using a lot of water. One thing I didn't talk about is jetting. I did have a high-powered jetter. It was a General. It was their biggest portable model. It was a jetter 3080, 8 gallons per minute at 3,000 psi, and it did a great job. It really cleaned the hell out of lines. But this is one head that's a really good head. I use these all the time, a spring head, and you can see this is the shit you pull out, roots, and that's going to tell you what's going on under there. And if you need to you know, look a little harder at what's happening, you can tell the homeowner, hey, I pulled roots out. You probably have a bad section of cast iron pipe, and we need to kind of locate that. And then they decide whether they want to fix it or not. Most of them, I just tell them to put the copper sulfate in there and it'll, you know, hopefully kill them or hold them at bay, kill the roots. So anyways, this is a retriever head. If your cable breaks off inside the line, you know, you can send this in there and pull it back out. It'll twist right into your cable, and then you can pull that cable back out. The other one is this head is nice for cast iron. I call it a grease head, but you can use it in sand and smaller cast iron, like a kitchen line that has a lot of grease buildup in it. The other thing that's good about this head is it won't damage old cast iron. You know, it's not going to go in there and tear the shit apart, so that you actually make the situation worse. Some of these other heads, the spring heads, that little hook right there at the top could get caught in a crack and twist in there and bust a chunk of cast iron out. So you need to be very careful when you're using these. A lot of times this, on even a straight spring head like this guy will get in, and this little tip will get caught up in a joint, cast iron joint or no hub joint or leaded joint, and it just will sit there and digging around in circles. But if you have roots in the system, this is going to find them. But I have found that this head, it'll clear the stoppage, but when you go and cut the pipe out to repair that section, you'll find that this thing, all it does is drill a little 1-inch hole right through the roots. It doesn't do anything more than that. I try to put a bend in the spring head that I have, so that it's actually scouring the whole outside of the pipe. I was taught that by my buddy Terry. He's a great service plumber, probably one of the best service plumbers I've ever seen, and full of knowledge, and he was ready and willing to share it with his employees, and just a good guy. So anyways, there's a lot to know, but the more you do, the more you'll learn. And anyways, I hope this was useful for some of you guys, and it pays to have the right stuff. I see these, you know, all this garbage they sell out there at Home Depot, these little hand augers and all that shit. It's junk, man. It's no match for a 50-year-old plumbing system. You are literally wasting your time trying to unstop a line with that shit. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. This is John Phillips with John Phillips Plumbing. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with people that you might think need to know this or would help them. And thank you for watching. I hope it helped you.